What was Piccolo talking about in Dragon Ball Super episode 88 when he said that Gohan gets arrogant and overconfident, and that's one of his major weak points? We've always known Gohan to be this humble, kind of humanistic character, a guy who the audience can relate to the most because he's not entirely a Saiyan, he's half human, and thus he has family values and empathy more so than many other characters, and we can relate to him. So what did Piccolo mean? And is Piccolo really full of it? Well, the answer is no, he's really not. Let's discuss. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I provide here on Geekdom 101, don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications so that you get every video right to your device, and thank you so much. Even though Dragon Ball is the story of Goku and his family and his friends, when you get to Dragon Ball Z, there's a huge focus put on watching Gohan grow up from being an innocent boy to being the strongest in the world, saving the world from Cell, and then moving on into adulthood, finding a wife, going to school, and, well, becoming like everybody else, having a career and whatnot. Gohan's character has always been one that a lot of people have gravitated towards and related to because of the fact that he is so human. However, one must never forget when reading Dragon Ball the manga or watching the anime that Toriyama will constantly remind us that he is, of course, a half Saiyan and a half-blood member of the warrior race, and because those genes are inside of his body, there are times when Gohan just simply cannot help himself and actually enjoy the thrill of the fight. Now, when it comes to arrogance in Dragon Ball, one thing that I have noticed is that Toriyama loves to do his best to make certain characters look cool, and sometimes when you look cool, it tends to kind of get mixed up with being arrogant, or another word that could be used is overconfident. Naturally, the one character that we see this from more than anybody, I would say, is Vegeta. Vegeta comes to Earth very arrogant. He is the prince, and if you notice that almost every time that Vegeta is overconfident or arrogant, it ends up biting him in the rear and he ends up getting beat up or making a huge mistake. It happens time and time again in the series. Now, even Goku himself has shown a little bit of an edgy, kind of overconfident, arrogant side. The difference is that a lot of times Goku would let his opponents live and give them a chance not to fight, knowing that he was more powerful. But of course, the vast majority of his opponents would never take him up on that offer. But you could make an argument that Goku was totally arrogant when he had his fight against the Ginyu Force, knowing that he could raffle stomp Recoome, Jace, and Birder, and he did so in efficient fashion. But with that example, Goku did give them a chance to retreat. Now, when it comes to Gohan, if you'll notice that Kid Gohan, the vast majority of the time we see the Kid Gohan, he's usually not arrogant at all. He wants to fight, he wants to do what's right, but there are two key moments in the series that you do see this arrogance kind of come out, and you see Gohan's heritage really spew out, and that is during his battle with Cell and his battle with Super Buu. When it came to Cell, Gohan was unquestionably stronger than Cell throughout that entire fight. We see Cell power up to his absolute maximum. He even turns himself gigantic, and Gohan just continues to deliver punishment, and Cell had absolutely no chance of victory, to the point where Gohan kicks Cell in the stomach, and Cell spits up 18, reverting back to his second form, securing a victory for not just Gohan, but any of the other super-powered characters there that could have beaten second form Cell. Once this happens, Cell has absolutely no chance of victory, and Goku is pleading with Gohan to finish him off. That's right, Goku wanted Gohan to finish Cell off. For those who say Goku doesn't kill, he seems pretty much willing to do it here. And Gohan, rather than actually finish Cell off and save the Earth, he winds up goofing around, wanting to punish him more and more, and as a result of that, underestimates Cell, forcing him to make himself gigantic and blow himself up, which cost him the life of his father. This was one of the biggest mistakes in the history of Gohan's life because he had this dude beat, and we know that Cell could not be reformed like so many of the other Dragon Ball characters. He was bad to the bone. And Gohan, because he wanted to show off his power, because he was reveling in the fact that he had unlocked the power beyond anybody else, let his arrogance get to his head, and it cost him. There was no point in Gohan acting this way. He didn't have to keep looking cool. Gohan already blew up the Cell Juniors with ease. Gohan already defeated Cell. Cell had no chance. He hit him with a Kamehameha. He hit him with several shots. Cell stood no chance against Gohan, but because he wanted to toy with him, which is something that a villain would do, it wound up costing Gohan big time. But Gohan would not learn his lesson because further in the series, he fights Super Buu. Super Buu was getting torn up by Ultimate Gohan. He just had his power unlocked by the Elder Kai. He was the strongest. He may have even surpassed Gotenks. That one's up for debate. I think that he did during this time period and was cutting through Majin Buu like a hot knife through butter. And rather than finish off Majin Buu, which is something that he could have done at any point during this fight, he decides to allow Buu to disappear, to reorganize himself, dust himself off, and come up with a plan which would lead to, of course, Buu absorbing Gotenks and being too much for Gohan. And this was an issue that could have been prevented if Gohan had just finished off Super Buu instead of toying around, smiling, and showing off his power. He could have just gone in there, hit him with a huge shot, maybe a Kamehameha, whatever move he wanted to use, finished off Super Buu. There was no audience there. The Earth had been wiped of most of humanity, except for his friends who already know he's strong, and Goten and all them. There was no point in Gohan doing this, except for the fact that, like Piccolo said, whenever Gohan gets a power upgrade, whenever he becomes the strongest guy in the series, he ends up letting it go to his head. He ends up being overconfident, toying with his opponents, and ultimately screwing up, just like Vegeta, and ultimately paying for it. So what do you think about this? Do you think that Gohan has finally learned his lesson after training with Piccolo? Do you think that he is no longer arrogant and that he's more focused and he's back to being the Gohan of old who just wanted to save the world and not show off how strong he was? Do you think that Gohan is back to form, back to being an intelligent guy, or do you think he will slip up again and become the arrogant screw up that winds up making a big mistake like Vegeta had done before? And one more thing I want to say is I'm not saying that Gohan is an arrogant guy. I'm saying these are moments of arrogance which may seem uncharacteristic, but when it's a pattern, it's not uncharacteristic. Let's talk about it in the discussion down below in the comment section. I actually really like doing these psychological breakdowns of these characters, even though they're fictional. It's fun to talk about. I enjoy this side of Dragon Ball a lot, and I want to know if you do too in the comments. Thank you so very much for watching the video. If you're new to Geekdom 101, I talk about Star Wars, Dragon Ball, movies, and lots of Dragon Ball content. Thank you for your consistent support. It means a lot to me. I swear to you it does. And if you like this video and you want more, here's more.